I sigh because I'm asking, what in the hell are you doing, House Caucus Progressives? Let's talk about the letter you sent calling for the United States to operate in a diplomatic manner, only to get cold feet. Scratching my head about that. So here's what happened. The Congressional Progressive Caucus has rescinded a letter. It was signed by about 30 House members and sent to the White House on Monday that urged President Biden to negotiate directly with Russia to bring an end to the war in the Ukraine. Now, the Washington Post says 30 House liberals. There is supposed to be a difference between progressives and liberals, but hey, maybe the Washington Post got it right, because I'm wondering right now at this moment. On Tuesday, the Progressive Caucus Chair, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, said the letter had been drafted several months ago and released by staff without vetting. Yeah. Jayapal took the Jayapal saying the following: as chair of the caucus, I accept responsibility for this. The proximity of these statements created the unfortunate appearance that Democrats who have strongly and unanimously supported and voted for every package of military, strategic, and economic assistance to the Ukrainian people are somehow aligned with Republicans who seek to pull the plug on American support for President Zelensky and the Ukrainian forces. God forbid. And she underlined exclamation point that. Let me just say that one more time. Every package of military, strategic, and economic assistance, we want you to know that. And we are not aligned with them damn rotten Republicans. I'm turnerizing this. So let it be known throughout the land. Yeah. Congresswoman Jayapal. Jackson, go ahead. You want to jump in here? Go ahead, jump.
I mean, it was just kind of weird because it's like she made a huge deal out of something that nobody would have noticed had she not retracted the letter. Because the reality is negotiating with either sides to try to end the war in some type of effective way is just part of war and part of negotiations. And so for her to, pull it back and say, oh, it wasn't vetted, and her main concern was, about Kevin McCarthy's recent statement about not so, giving money to Ukraine. Her fears of it looking like, they would have been on the side of Republicans, but nobody would have taken it like that. So if she wouldn't have retracted this letter, then I don't think anyone would be talking about this whatsoever. And it just, she just kind of looks indecisive.
Agreed. She drew attention to this. There's nothing wrong with trying to find some diplomacy. And as you noted, that is a part of war. What are we going to do? Go on fighting forever? Mm-hmm. What are we going to do? Be a part of setting up WW3, where the entire world will be annihilated? Are you kidding me? And put an F word in front of that, but I just didn't say it. PG. I keep saying to myself, this is a kid. This is a family show.
Well, at least your filters is working though, so we good.
Good. McCarthy said that if the Republicans win the House, he'll pull the plug on Ukraine aid, so Dems risk positioning themselves more pro-war than Republicans. Because Jackson, you really hit the nail on the head. If this was really about a change of heart for the sake of a change of heart, then say that. But to base your decision on the fact that you got a phone call, let's just call it what it is. Somebody called you, somebody let you know. That's the reason why you pulled back the letter. Yeah. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
So the premise shouldn't be about what McCarthy got to say. The premise has to be about what the Progressive Caucus believes in its heart. And when the letter came out, my question is, why didn't he get the letter out in July? Why didn't he get the letter out in a timely fashion? Inquiring minds want to know. But if you're wondering what the letter was in the letter, let's check out some direct excerpts of this letter that just had to be pulled, shall we? Given the destruction created by this war for Ukraine and the world, as well as the risk of catastrophic escalation, we also believe it is in the interest of Ukraine, the United States, and the world to avoid a prolonged conflict. For this reason, we urge you to pair the military and economic support the United States has provided to Ukraine with a proactive diplomatic push, redoubling efforts to seek a realistic framework for a ceasefire. Jackson, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She definitely got a call and freaked out and didn't really think about it. Because again, something like that, like no one would know about that. I mean, letters like that go to the White House every single day. Letters from all types of people. That would have just been another letter out of the thousands that are being sent in Washington, D.C. So, yeah, it was just weird. It just really was strange.
Oh, no, a call happened. We know this. A call happened. Here's what one Congresswoman said after retracting her signature. Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs. Timing and diplomacy is everything. I signed this letter on June 30th, but a lot has changed since then. I wouldn't sign it today. We have to continue supporting Ukraine economically and militarily to give them the leverage they need to end this war. A lot has changed. Russia invaded Ukraine in February. So really, truly, not much has changed. I don't get where she's coming from. Not much has changed. Here, let's take a look at David Sirota of The Lever, his take on it. It's sadly on brand that progressives, quote, let's maybe try to avoid World War III and a nuclear holocaust, end quote, letter is being rescinded out of cowardice. You better say that, David Sirota, because that is really what this comes down to. Who in the flipping hell has backbone and who does not? Who's gonna stand strong and say that we as a nation, Ukraine as a nation, and we as a world cannot continue in this forever fight? Who has the courage to say that? And there was nothing wrong with the framing of that letter. The letter basically said, Jackson, hey, as you do the thing militarily, as you send money over there, let's not forget the third ingredient here. We need to work our way towards diplomacy. That's all the letter said. Yeah, that's my interpretation of it.
And I don't see how anything would have had to change in terms of American support for Ukraine had that letter been sent and had a diplomatic approach been attempted with Russia. But I think it needs to be noted that it just for her to do this with something like Ukraine, this isn't even really the most pressing issue on Americans' minds. Right. We need strong leadership, especially for our domestic issues. So people aren't going to forget about this.
No, they're not, and they shouldn't forget. Because listen, if there is no difference between progressives and neoliberals, and hell, we don't need the progressives.
Nope.
And the cowardice shown in this, it makes me kind of wonder. But there's somebody that continued to stand up. That was Congressman Ro Khanna. Let's take a look.
Well, Bianna, let me just say what my position is, which matters. I have supported every package of giving aid to Ukraine, and I plan to support continuing to arm Ukraine. All the letter said is that we, at the same time that we stand with Ukraine, need to make sure that we're reducing the risk for nuclear war, that we're engaging in talks with the Russians to make sure that the conflict doesn't escalate. We need to support Ukraine with arms, and we need diplomacy. That's common sense.
Common sense indeed. We are trying to avoid nuclear war. We're trying to avoid nuclear war. That's all. That's all the letter said. I think that letter was responsible. Oh, I'm really trying to keep it. I'm trying to avoid. We are trying to avoid nuclear war. Yeah. Jackson, I'm still signed deeply on this one. I'm very troubled by it. Really.
Well, I think that the more time presses on, the more hope I have really for better candidates to get in office all across the board. Because one thing that's pretty consistent when you look throughout human history is we do rise to the challenge. So I'm choosing to have faith in us still.
You go ahead and have some faith, and faith without works is dead. I am right with you. I'm thinking about my grandma's backbone now. The wishbone, the jawbone, the backbone. We talk about jawbone every single day on this show, but the backbone. But my grandmother was saying you got to have a spine. I had a boss that I worked for, and he said you can't give people a spine when they ain't got one. You can't spine folks up. Either you have one or you don't. Now, they need to take my grandmother's advice and start using that damn backbone if they have one. Or Jackson, to your point, because I want to merge our two comments here. We need to elect some folks that do have a spine. War for war's sake is wrong. It is ridiculous. It causes human suffering, not just for the nation that is enduring it in the moment, but for everybody in the world. That's all that letter said. And your point about the domestic front, hell, for every dollar that we gave over to Ukraine, we need to put $1 over here in the United States of America. Help our Ukrainian sisters and brothers and family and friends. Let me be clear on that, because if that was us, we would want our allies to come to our aid as well. Got it, check mark, bold, exclamation point. But for every damn dollar that's spent over there, the equal amount of dollars need to be spent over here in the United States of America. Charity starts at home. We got too many people suffering every single day. And for this Congress, because Congresswoman Jayapal made it very clear, we voted for every single dollar. Then why aren't y'all voting and raising hell for the war zones that are going on right here at home? We can do both at the same time. We can help our sisters and brothers and family and friends over in the Ukraine, because Putin is wrong all day long and twice on Sundays. And we should be investing the same money. I want to see them write a letter about how we vote every single time, and we pushing and we standing on our desk, and we will not be moved until we have universal health care in the United States of America. We will not be moved until the child tax credit is renewed. We will not be moved until people can unionize without fear and intimidation. We will not be moved until we pass the George Floyd Voting Rights Act. We will not be moved until we pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. We won't be moved. We won't be moved. But no, we don't hear that kind of passion when it comes to helping to lifting the people in this country, in the hoods all over. Whether they urban hoods, rural hoods, or suburban hoods, where people are misunderstood. We sick and tired of it. Progressive Caucus, stand up or stand down and let other folks who really are the true progressive freedom fighters get in there and do something and stand their ground and not worry about some damn call or whether or not they're gonna get a chance to be in the regular leadership. Because this progressives is what this comes down to. I'm sick of the foolishness with progressives. Now, either you're a freedom fighting progressive or you're gonna roll over. And so far, this caucus has shown that it is a rollover caucus. Yeah, I said it. Tell them I said it. I said it. They got my number.